Okay, perfect. So to maximize the time, we will go over some slides fairly quickly. The intent is to better or to give you some information about matrix and trim removal in the process of converting. We will, of course, uh, tell you who we are, what BloApCo is, and what we do. We will compare the two main systems in commonly used in the industry, air or rewind. We will talk about our solutions and what we have done to help other customers and how that impacts sustainability efforts or benefits sustainability efforts that our customers and companies are doing. And last but not least, we will go through some justification. I missed the presentation piece. I am Frank Tejera, the CEO of BloApCo.
And I'm Dan Cheslevich, the president of BloApCo.
All right, very good. So let's get to a quick snapshot of who we are, Dan.
Sure. So a blower application company was founded in 1933. Originally, we're an engineering firm dealing with dust, grains, drying. Post-World War II, we kind of grew and evolved with the packaging industry to the point where we've got a wide variety of products and solutions for the packaging world.
We are an industry leader. We make shredders, we make trim cutters, products in general for waste handling solutions, and we provide parts and repairs besides engineering and manufacturing for the equipment. So we definitely are seen by our customers, partners, and competitors as an industry leader.
And overall, I'd say that we're very user friendly in the world of supplying equipment and systems. You know, we are super customer centric. We ask a lot of questions and make the customer part of the process. And in that way, you're part of the solution, and everybody's on board to having a successful purchase event. So.
Um, we play an important role in some very specific vertical markets. There are some markets in terms of waste that we do not believe we have a complete or comprehensive product solution. So the markets that when we excel are by all means corrugated, paperboard, distribution, warehousing, and definitely converting. Every place in the converting world for metals, for battery, tag and label, printing, tissue, nonwovens. I mean, in general, web converting, when there is a trim or a matrix involved, we definitely have a complete solution.
And every BloApCo product is made in Germantown, Wisconsin. So we are just north of Milwaukee. And each item that we do, we always try to have something different about it, something that's better, that we can separate from the competition, and to help make our equipment a step above everybody else's. And so they are designed, manufactured, assembled right here. And I think that gives us a good insight into getting them to be applied properly.
And for all of the above, BloApCo with 90 plus years in business, we have built a good reputation in the market. Our products are well known to be not only preferred in the industry, but we hold a reputation for performance, quality, reliability, and durability. We still service equipment with serial numbers from the 60s, right, Dan?
No, we sure do. We most certainly do. So our equipment is built to last. We sort of do it the old-fashioned way, if
That's
you want
right.
to say, from that end. So.
Right. So let's jump into the comparison between the two main techniques, and this is where I think most people that have joined us will find interesting things to learn.
So the BloApCo solution for the label industry in taking away the scrap is a pneumatic scrap penning system. So in the world of conveying, it's like a big central vacuum system. And so when you're looking at that image on the screen, what we do is next to each press, we'll place a trim cutter. The trim cutter works with material handling fans that create suction at the pickup point. So we're drawing in the matrix and any edge trim that you may be generating. We draw it into the trim cutter, and all a trim cutter is a rotary cutting device, two knives spinning and a stationary bed knife. We cut that scrap into short pieces so it's easy to convey, and then blow it or suck it, as you would say, through a network of ductwork back to one central collection area. So the big benefit of the scrap system is yeah, you see it going in the one end, and then you see it drop out on the other end, and there's no labor involved from handling wise. So each one's a little bit different depending upon your layout, what your process is. And that's where we come in with, a lot of questions and working with you to make sure that we've got a solution that's tailored to meet your needs, and it's a good workable one. So,
right, and we will get more into details about what these systems are. I come from the tag and label world, so I can speak of the conventional rewind process that you may, if we have people here making labels or generating trim, chances are you have an air shaft with a rewind option at the top of your machine where you're accumulating the matrix and building up a roll. That's a fairly common technique used. Most OEMs and manufacturers of machines have an optional or incorporate a rewind station at the top of the leaders or the die cutting station to collect or accumulate all this material. So just because it's common and conventional doesn't mean that it is necessarily the most effective or efficient. There are advantages and disadvantages as in everything, but in general, it drives higher operational cost. The material will accumulate in that roll, and then you have to stop the process and ask the operator to remove that. You have to pause the machine, stop the presses, de-inflate the air shaft, remove the roll, bring the crane, because most of these are pretty heavy. So bottom line, it takes time. Another disadvantage is the press may be designed to run at some certain speeds, and depending on the type of material and matrix that you end up generating, you may need to slow down the process. So probably you're not running the press at the maximum speed that it was designed for. So there are a number of challenges with this conventional winding process then, and we will not talk more about air, probably. I'm sorry, not talk about rewind so much. You guys know what I mean. We will concentrate on air. And please, as a reminder, you're welcome to use the chat for comments and questions. So Dan, could you bring us home with turnkey systems?
And so when you look at, again, the image up on the screen, again, we offer a wide variety of components to be used in these sort of centralized scrap handling systems. And it's everything from material handling fans, which generate the suction. And so in our case, material enters the fan and then it passes directly through. It's not in an induced draft type of system, which is an efficient way to move air through a facility. The other big item, which is kind of a key item in the world of packaging and labels, are the inline trim cutters. And so BloApCo was the original trim cutter designer going back to the 1940s. And we've got a variety of models that we use depending upon your product and how wide, how thick, how heavy the material. There's a numerous different options for that. We get involved with the separators on the collection side. What a separator is used is if you're blowing material at 5,000 feet per minute through a ductwork, it doesn't just stop when it gets to the end. You need to slow it down and get it to drop out. And so the trick is getting it to drop into the location that you want it without blowing all over. So we've got some good insights on how to do that, and depending upon your product and the air volume and what you're trying to do. Again, we also offer items such as inline diverters to pick up from one location or another location, or to separate materials from one or the other. If you've got you want to reclaim and recycle a certain product, and you or scrap another one, we've got diverters for that. We offer larger shredding devices. If you've got, and this is more on the paper side of things, but bigger, bulkier objects, we can provide shredders for. So again, there's a lot of different solutions that we can offer depending upon your product mix. And in this case, with the label industry, you're looking at the image with the blue trim cutter, which is the on the right and the top. And again, all a trim cutter is a rotary cutting device. In this case, there's 2 rotating knives and a stationary bed knife. The gap, the knives never hit. The gap is about 0.03 of an inch. That the knives glide by each other. So they're meant to stay sharp and cut for a long time. In the world of labels, where there's adhesive on the back, that will stick if you just ran it through a conventional system. You'll get that material building up on the knives, building up on the ductwork, overall just plugging up and actually gumming up the whole system. So what we do is we inject a light oil mist at the inlet of the cutter. This coats the cutter knives, keeps the glue from building up, and then coats the interior of the ductwork to keep the labels from sticking. And if you're wondering how well that works, go home, take a piece of duct tape and dip your finger in cooking oil and touch it. You'll see that your finger doesn't stick to the glue. So oil does a great job at that. Our misters are bigger droplets. They're not the old-fashioned type of foggers. And if you've maybe seen some older systems out there, if they're not done properly, they can look a little bit like a machine shop. And ours use bigger droplets. They adhere better to the knives and the ductwork, easier to collect on the end, and they keep your working environment nice and clean. So
that's right. So in terms of services that we also, this is showing a common repair on resharpening for a trim cutter. An additional value that BloApCo offers is we stand behind our products. Dan very well briefly described the system of an air convey process in a typical layout with a pickup point and dumping that material somewhere off the process of the production floor. But it doesn't end right there. We are a company that can help with turnkey solutions, designing and finding the right system for you, and walking through project management, design, installation. We make most of the main components of the system, but after the system is installed, we also are there to help. So part of our value chain is service, parts, and repairs. We stand behind our product. As I said earlier, we still repair and service product that comes from serial numbers from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s. We get a lot of those because this product is built to last. We have a large install base. We have over close to 1,400 shredders that we know are in operation, over 3,500 fans, and a great number of trim cutters. So we service our product, and we take that very seriously. Another piece is we are an open source manufacturer. What does that mean? oftentimes we buy something from someone and we find later on that we are held hostage by that company because every single thing we need to buy, we have to buy from them. We are not like that. We are an open source. When our customers buy any equipment or system from us, they get a user manual with a bill of materials of all the parts. If we used an SKF bearing, for example, we will put the SKF part number for the maintenance team of our customer to source that spare part directly from the manufacturer if that's what they wish to do. We also have parts in stock, but we're not holding you hostage and overcharging for parts and repairs. We make a decent living. Making a buck is important, but it's important to do it the right way as well. And last but not least, we have both inside and on-site service and repairs capabilities. We can send technicians your way, or we are happy to receive equipment back in our shop for service and repair. And then we can spend a minute here, Dan, talking about sustainability. Our equipment and our systems are meant to drive sustainability efforts with customers. That's what we do. Effective waste management is very important. Whether your byproduct is recyclable or non-recyclable product, our system will help you to better organize that with use of diverters. We can fairly quickly transfer product from one site to another.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when you're in your design process and trying to figure out what to do in your own mind, one of the first things is, hey, when I have this scrap back in one location, what do I want to do with it? Is it recyclable? Can it be recycled? Is it trash? Because then that dictates what you're going to drop it into, where your separator is going to be, and the design of the separator, your space capabilities, a whole lot of other items. So one of the keys is, hey, what is that scrap? And can you do something with it? Is there a better way to do something with it? And so we do have a fair number of contacts around the country that deal in brokering, recycling, processing of that scrap. So again, depending upon what you have, how much, and where you are, there may be some solutions out there that you're not aware of.
So. That is correct. To mention an example, besides brokers, we have good networking with companies that will create fuel pellets with non-recyclable material, and that will help sustainability efforts and help the return on investment on most systems with lower cost of effective hauling, lower cost on landfill when you're not sending your non-recyclable materials or cross-contamination materials to landfill, and instead you're sending that for a lower fee to a lower CO2 emission company, besides the fact that we're helping you do what's right. And then on top of other benefits of air system products, minimize risk on lifting when the operator is not required to lift heavy waste material. And our systems in general are pretty quiet and clean.
Now they are. So when you put them in, we set them up so that when you walk into your manufacturing area, it doesn't sound like someone's got a lawnmower running or a helicopter or what have you. It blends in with the general, I would say, hum of a processing factory. And people real quickly ask us how loud everything is, and it's always real difficult to get them an exact number because it's hard to separate us out from the rest of the plant noise. So
right. And then this is the last slide before we go to the Q&A. And it's more of a justification when an air system is definitely a must to do. And here is where I would like to bring some thoughts and some points. This is a typical ROI justification based on random and hypothetical four-press system with normally on the tag and label, the downtime rate is about $500 per hour. So depending on the mix, every application is different, but there are some commonalities in many of the ways that product is made. So most manufacturers will have downtime because of web breakage. We'll have downtime because of the time that they need to take on roll replacement, and those are pretty big components, and the labor associated to that. And then, of course, you have material waste, you have material savings. If you can run the press at a lower or faster speed, there's a monetary component there, workers' comp, extended producer responsibility, hauling, just to mention a few. The traditional winding will drive cost in all these buckets, and an air system addresses all those buckets and gives zero downtime. Of course, you have the initial investment, but then with the zero downtime, lowest total cost of ownership, and a sustainability benefit, in most cases, the ROI is shorter than a year. So we're happy working with companies and customers to evaluate systems and applications. That's what we do for a living. We've been doing this for many years. So we'll be happy to go to the Q&A part and hear if there is anyone that has a question or comment. Okay, we don't have any questions. There are no questions in the chat. So I'm assuming that everything was.
Can you share, I'm sorry, Frank, can you share the presentation with us?
Yes, I'm happy to do that.
Perfect, thank you. I'm not in the emails, but you can send it to the team and as well they forward me. Thank you a lot.
Okay, how can I send you the presentation?
If you want, I can put it on the chat, my email, so you can get it.
Okay, or if let's do something. Let me put in the chat my email, so you can send me your contact information. So you don't share your email with people outside your organization.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to just a couple comments on items. This one, the presentation is mostly dealing on the label side of things. And, over the years, I think the first label system we did was 1988 for a facility north of us. And all these years later, that facility is still there. All they've ever done was add to that system. And so, which is a common theme among the label systems that we've worked on, is people keep on using them, except they're just adding on and adding on as they grow and evolve. That system kind of grows and evolves and changes with them. And so these are meant to be long-term solutions. And when we're dealing with customers, we sort of understand that this is I would say once in a lifetime buy, but boy, you're going to buy this now and you're going to live with it for many years. And we want to make sure we get the right solution. And when you're dealing with the product mix, again, we're familiar with everything from the labels, flexible packaging, cartons, really any kind of the packaging material. So, going forward, if you've got just general questions on systems, happy to work with you. We talk to a lot of different people offering advice. And then even if it's not a BloApCo equipment, if it is BloApCo equipment and you've got questions about it, need some information, feel free to reach out. We do our best to be user friendly and work with people. And unfortunately, when you're doing the sales process, those can be hollow words. But our retention rate with customers is excellent. Once they deal with us, we have a customer for a lifetime. So.
That's right. We have a few questions in the chat. Can we go to Puerto Rico to see facilities? Ricardo, we would love to. We sell worldwide, probably 20% of our sales are exports overseas. So absolutely, we can work with Puerto Rico. I can, if you send me an email, Ricardo, and I believe I sent you an email. I remember your name from the registration list. We can get in contact, and we work with a dealer. We have a rep in Latin America, and we can definitely find some way to explore your application, Ricardo. So for sure, domestic, continental USA, or exports, it will be perfect.